Hi there everybody, Siggy Seroka with another weekly weather explainer for you, and this time we are talking about water balance, and it's the basic balance, like it says, between precipitation and evaporation. Now, there's a whole table you can do, a whole set of numbers you can take, and all kinds of equations to break this down and figure out if we're seeing a drought or a surplus of water, in excess if you will. But I'm going to keep it simple for you. Really, what you have here is your basin. This is, let's say, the ground. You just have where your water stores itself naturally below the surface, and you have precip. This is rain, snow, sleet, hail, ice, anything, any form of water falling out of the sky. Once that lands on the ground, it goes through a couple different processes to lead into whether or not we have water available for, say, crops, rivers, streams, lakes, all that. So that would be the storage value. So you have the precip come down. Some of the processes it goes through naturally is evaporation or transpiration, which is basically it going into plants and the soil and being consumed by grass and nature and everything that needs water in order to survive, not counting humans, because that is a, yes, natural process, but also a more man-made process. This is just looking at how much water is absorbed by the scenery and the grass and plants that are in the area, as well as evaporation, like we all know, the sun taking it and turning it into a gas. So as that precip comes down, goes through those processes, what's left goes into storage. If there's not a lot of evaporation or transpiration, so all that moisture is allowed to go into storage, that's when we start to fill it up, and we could even see an excess, which would lead to runoff, and that's calculated as R. So if you reach your storage value, say you're maxed out at water capacity and you're still getting rain, a lot of that ends up turning into runoff, which can be floods, maybe even overfilling of rivers and streams and lakes, and seeing some kind of higher shorelines. But let's say we're getting a lot of evaporation, the plants are taking lots of water, and we're not seeing much of it fall out of the sky. Well, that storage value begins to decrease, and that's how we start to end up with situations like we're seeing across a lot of the Northwest with very strong or extreme droughts. We have some severe areas, a lot of us really just dry, even all the way over to the sound, you know, typically where people say Seattle gets water. Well, it hasn't really gotten a lot of water. It's staying pretty dry. The only area that seems to be at adequate storage is right here near the Horse Heavens along the Washington-Oregon border, but up near the lower east slopes of the Cascades and even out here into the Rocky Mountains, or at least the eastern portion of the Rocky Mountains towards western Montana, we have extreme to exceptional drought in some places. So that means that storage is very, very low. In fact, it's pretty much gone, as there has been a lot of evaporation and transpiration, but not a lot of precipitation. So that water balance is kind of leaning one way more than the other. And through the winter, we typically see a lot of these areas come back, but that's referred to as how much snow's up in the mountains, checking those snow caps, seeing how much available water we have for crops for pretty much everywhere as we go through the entire year. So that does it for your weather explainer this week on water balances. Stay right here on the streaming channel for more news and weather updates.